You have to have a good work ethic. It's important. It's important. It's not to make it look effortless. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. You have to be responsible. You have to be responsible. Responsibility, that's level 3 energy. You have to do what you're going to say you're going to do. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you're going to be there at a certain time, then you need to be there. If you're operating at a very, very low energy level, you'll become distracted. When people are overwhelmed, they become distracted. Distraction is high now more than ever, because we don't have just the usual distractions of alcohol, sex, and drugs. We have a new distraction now called your cell phone. There are people that check their email up to 40 times an hour. 75% of people admitted that they use their cell phone in the bathroom. You ever hear those voices coming out of the stall? Isn't that weird? Doesn't that creep you out? 38% of people bring their cell phone to the dinner table. Distractions are taking you away from your purpose. And that's why you have to have a purpose that's bigger than yourself. That's why it's important to have a purpose that's bigger and greater than yourself. The next is persistence. You have to be persistent. I remember years ago I was speaking at the same seminar with Dennis Waitley, who's a motivational speaker, and he was the psychologist for NASA and some Olympic athletes. And we were talking, and I said to him, you know, Dennis, I said, some people, it's like they swim halfway across the lake, and then they decide they can't make it, so they turn around and they swim back. If they would have just kept going, they would have gotten to where they wanted to go. And the reason why is because they either didn't see their vision clearly enough, or they weren't persistent in that effort. The next is courage. You have to have courage. You have to be able to face your fear. See, fear is an illusion. We have a neurological embeddedness in us for fear. Because if we think that something's going to hurt us physically, we get that feeling. It senses danger. It's a primal thing that we have. But for most of us, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. Right? What do they say fear is? False evidence appearing real, or forget everything and run, right? Okay? What really is fear? Once you face your fear, then you can do most anything that you want. If you say to yourself, is this going to kill me? If the answer is no, then do it. Then do it. But what are the different fears that we face? We fear of failure. What's fear of failure? If something doesn't work out right, it's feedback. It's not failure. Don't attach the event to your self-esteem. That's what people do. They attach the event to their self-esteem. What's another fear? Fear of rejection. Oh my God, they said no. So you run home and you crawl in a fetal position and you stay there for 2 weeks. Then you decide to come out of your hole and start all over again, instead of being up in a higher energy level. There's fear of risk, not taking enough educated chances. There's fear of mediocrity. Everything has to be perfect. I can't do this until I get it right. It's never going to be right. It's never going to be right. Just start shooting and then aim as you shoot. Don't stand there holding the gun and looking through the sights and not pulling the trigger. You know, in business, we have to create rituals. And every night we should create a list of things that we're going to do the next day. If we did that, and that one thing alone, we would increase our productivity by 30%. But here's what happens. We see the thing, we look at our list, and what do? We do all the easy stuff first. And then at the end of the day, we either get distracted because we didn't do the important stuff, so we take the important stuff and we put it to the next day. And then the next day, we do all the easy stuff, and that thing is still there again. Because it's what we fear, and we don't do it. You know, there's a saying in the South that if you have to swallow a frog, it's best not to stare at it too long. So eat your big frogs first. Eat your big frogs first. That's how you face your fear, because otherwise it'll just control you. It'll just control you. So those are some of the qualities. Another quality is that leaders are readers and they invest in themselves. If you were to read 1 hour a day of whatever it is that you do, I guarantee you will be at the top 10%. Because the average people are not doing that. They're not doing that. Or taking 10% of your gross and putting it towards self-improvement. Going to seminars, learning, hiring a coach. Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google, says everyone needs a coach. Richard Branson runs 100 different companies because he has a coach. It's very difficult to run 100 different companies. It's very difficult to be able to see yourself, okay? It's very difficult to see the frame when you're in the picture. And that's why you need somebody from the outside. So those are the qualities.